Now, the actor Donald Sutherland, whose career spanned more than 7 decades, has died at the age of 88.
Well, his many credits included The Dirty Dozen in 1967, the war comedy MASH in 1970 and Ordinary People in 1980, which won the Academy Award for Best Picture.
Yeah, but we're missing out on... What was the film called with President Snow?
Hunger Games.
Hunger Games. Oh, my God, they were amazing. Stephanie Takyi is here. I mean, he's a man, because of his longevity, his appeal spans so many generations.
And that's what was so special about him, and that's why so many audiences, both old and young, know something that they've watched with Donald Sutherland in. And his son, Kiefer Sutherland, who's also an actor, I think he summed it pretty well in the statement yesterday. He said that he thinks his dad was one of the most important actors of film history because he had under 200 films that he starred in, you know, under 7 decades. So can you imagine the depth of talent he had? And, you know, he's played so many different roles. He's not a man that's just... He wasn't a man that played the same role over and over. He could be the hero or he could be the villain. And
actually, he did a villain very well.
He did, and that's what was the beauty of his acting. He managed to bring charisma to each role that he brought, and he impressed viewers so much. And I think, you know, the word legend gets used all the time, but I really do think we've lost an acting great here and someone that we miss from the cinema. In his career, he never won an Oscar. Never won a gold, never won an Oscar, and I really do feel he deserved it. And he's always spoken about that, and he said it wasn't about the Oscar, it was about doing something I loved. And he was one of those actors that was never out of work. And, you know, I think this weekend a lot of film buffs will be watching all of the films he's starred in before because there's just so much depth there. You've got 200 of them to pick.
Yeah, wow. And I had no idea that he'd been suffering with a long-term illness.
Yeah, in Miami, I think the family had kept this very private, and they are going to be keeping his funeral very private. They said it will be a celebration of life, but it always happens with these actors. You know, you always watch them in films and think, oh, everything's okay, but he was 88, so he did have a good run, but obviously behind closed doors there was a lot going in. But he starred with so many people over the years, including Jane Fonda in the film Clute, so I can imagine, and they were actually lovers, but I can imagine...
In real life?
Yeah, they had an affair, but I think she would be quite devastated this morning, as much of the acting industry would. And I think a lot of young people just remember him as President Snow in Hunger Games.
And he was just so amazing as President Snow. We're just seeing a clip there. He's not even speaking in the part. He's just looking at Katniss Everdeen on the screen. And he's such an incredible actor.
I think
he doesn't even need to be speaking.
His look was quite distinctive, and what I always remembered about him on screen is he had this piercing gaze, and then when he would open his mouth, you just want to listen to him, whether he was the villain or the hero. So he definitely is an acting great that we've lost. Yeah,
it's interesting, though, because obviously you mentioned Kiefer, who, I mean... has become this tremendous actor in his own right. And in a way, you want to view Kiefer in his own right, but in a way, on a day like today, it feels like he's sort of keeping his dad going a little bit, you're keeping the legend going.
Definitely, and I think that's the beauty about acting families, because I think you're right, Kiefer is an actor in his own right, but then you can actually see if you had such a great acting father like that, you can imagine his talent has been passed down to Kiefer and to be surrounded by that. But I would say Kiefer Sutherland is not a Nepo baby, he's definitely someone who's carved out his own career.
Stephanie, whilst we've got you, can you talk about another great story, Helen? How is he? Because he fell off the stage, didn't he?
Yeah, that was quite horrifying news, I think, for a lot of the viewers who had gone to see him. But he is making recovery. He says he's in hospital. As a true thespian, Sir Ian McKellen wants to get back on stage, but unfortunately he cannot do the London dates of Players King, so they said that he has to do some physiotherapy at the moment. He says I have to do some exercise and recover. He's hoping to get back in stage for the Bristol date of the production will be taking place next week, Wednesday. He'll be covered by his understudy, David Seamark. But Sir Ian McKellen is 85 years old. And, you know, I can imagine his mind is willing, but his body, he has to listen to the experts' advice and take it easy. And it wouldn't be right for him to get back on stage. As soon as it happened, he was like, yep, I'm going to be back on stage.
He did, didn't he?
But he has to follow medical advice, and I think for the production as well, it's about sticking to health advice here. Yeah,
I mean, you know, with the best will in the world, you don't bounce back quite so quickly at that age.
No, you don't. Even at my age, I don't think.
No. All right, Steph, really good to see you.